All right, my friends, I just posted a link. As you can see, I'm sweating like a freaking pig here. Feels good though. I posted a link in the community tab at Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel for a song from a band called Egypt called Queen of All Time. And I put the rhetorical question, is it possible for a teetotaling Christian to love the music of stoner doom metal? And the answer, of course, is yes. That's why I said it's a rhetorical question, because once you listen to that song, there's many good stoner doom metal songs, stoner rock, stoner metal, whatever you want to call it, you can't help but be taken in and have what is it when you hear a good song, it brings emotions inside, you know what I'm saying? Like, I listen to some Matthew West songs, and he sings about Christian stuff, and it's very, I don't want to say poppy, because that sounds disparaging, and some country music songs too, it brings tears to your eyes. It grasps you emotionally. And then a lot of metal stuff, it grasps you emotionally in a different way. Not in an angry way at all, but just you want to jump around and bang into things. There's something about your soul that's insane. How can you explain that? How can evolution explain what your soul, how is it an inanimate object? A song. In this case, Queen of All Time by Egypt, I've heard 1,000 million times. Actually, when I used to tinker on the guitar, I play a lot, and I haven't pulled up my guitar in freaking 6-7 years. But that kind of stuff it hits your soul, man. How do you explain that? I don't know. I've asked psychologists, whatever. I said, hey, how do you, or not ask them, but I said, you ever get like a song that brings tears to your eyes emotionally? There's a song by Matthew West that says, let them see your scars. And if I can find I have that on my phone. It's just, oh man, you hear that song. Oh man, it brings tears to your eyes. And it's not tears of remorse. I don't want to say it's tears of joy. It's tears of forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? Like, God has forgiven all, and just the infinite love that is shown you. And it makes you sad in a way for the struggles that you've had when you find yourself doubting the chaos you've caused in your own life. And it makes you just glorify in the simpleness of God's love. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you can't explain it. Darwin, with all the silliness of the theory, that's actually, and I hate to say be disproven, because science is not really disproven. I mean, I guess you can always say, we disprove the flat earth. Yeah, I get that. But, I mean, I get that. But the vast majority of science is still engaging in what if, how about this, what about that, which is why climate scientists and the consensus as if science is a democracy is so silly. Anyway, when you're sitting, obviously it is when money's at stake, which is why all those guys fall in line, because there's lots of money at stake. But anyway, when you have an emotional feeling of that, it cannot be quantified. It can't be proven. Why do I love Charlotte? I don't know. I mean, there's traits about her I love, I know that, but why? Why her instead of somebody else? I don't know. You can't prove that. Can I prove I love her? Well, you die for her. Well, hopefully I die for someone I didn't love. You see what I'm saying? If Jesus died for us, even though we don't love him back. But if I died for someone I didn't quote unquote love, like the way I love Charlotte, does that mean I don't love? The philosophy of that is mind-boggling. But anyway, my point about this was, I think, and I how can I say this? I want to say this in the right way. As someone who's relatively new to the faith in terms of how I found my way there, and I don't want to say relatively new, like I'm Saul on the road to Damascus. I mean, I was raised a Catholic, you know what I'm saying? Under the pomp and circumstance of Catholicism. I got baptized when I don't know when I got baptized. I had my first communion when I was 12, because my mom and dad, they got away from the church, the Catholic church, the Christian faith. But they went on Easter, I just remember that. And I think when my dad left, my mom kind of got back into faith. I don't remember why. But somehow we got back in when my dad left, and that's when I got baptized, or first communion. That's what it was, first communion. And I was an altar boy. I remember one time pilfering $5 from the basket. I felt guilty ever since. Obviously, God forgives. I get that. It's funny actually, because one of the memories of my life is I had pilfered $5 from the basket. I was like, 11, something like that, 12. And a couple days later, I found $10 on the ground. I'll never forget this. I remember this. The next day, I was an altar boy. Next Sunday, I was sitting in church, and I had this feeling: go ahead and give it all, give it back. And I had this gnawing that I should give it back, and I didn't. And I remember feeling like you got to give it back. It will. Trust in God is like, it's not one of those seminal instances that'll make or break you, because you can always get forgiven. But I just wonder, to be perfectly honest with you, how much different, how many acts of chaos I could have avoided if I just would have given it back that one time to show that I trust God. You know what I'm saying? But it might have been the other way around. I mean, God might not have rewarded me with what I needed. I don't know. I don't know how it works. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So, I mean, who knows? I just don't know. I always wonder, though, like, if I had given that $10 I had found to replace the $5 I stole, would God have done what would have been different for me? It might have been worse chaos, where he says, yeah, that's great. You're supposed to do that, kind of like the prodigal son. I expect you to do that, so rewards you don't need. And I don't know what the reward would have been, but he said, yeah, you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to live like that. You know, when you steal, you're supposed to make it up in droves. And so you don't get rewarded for that, but it just shows you have trust. And, you know, I don't know if God would have said, all right, Josh, the roads are paved with gold now. Or if he would have said, you're even more on your own. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. God does what you need him to do. And that's, I don't want to sound like God's there, you know, like a freaking, you know, snack machine. I need God to do this, click. It doesn't work like that. But you rely on God to get what you need done from under his eyes, which aren't yours, and is impossible. It's impossible. Remember who said that? First person who gets that wins the internet. It's impossible. Super Nintendo Chalmers. Anyway, it's impossible for us to even calculate the level of depth and graphs that God has, given that the universe is created by this being. All right, but I want to go back. So, stoner doom metal and Christianity, can they exist hand in hand? The answer is unequivocally. And what I challenge my Christian brothers and sisters on, and again, I don't find this, at least with a YouTube, what I listen to, who I've come across in my, you know, journey, faith journey, I don't find a whole lot of Christians who are Bible thumpers and moral majority types. I find a lot of Christians are broken people, and God was there to help them police themselves up. I just kind of find it funny, like, you're preaching your Bible to me? I don't come across that. And I'm sure there are some of that. I get it. I think those are few and far between, and those actually people hurt the church. But broken people help the church. And I just, so if you're one of those people who say, you can't listen to that kind of music and be a Christian, and I frankly, I don't think there are many like that, but if you are, I want to ask you to think again. God finds people when he wants to find them, regardless of the music they listen to, regardless of what they do or who they are, the race, creed, color, religion. God finds them when he's ready to find them. I don't know why. I don't know how. You listen to Lee Strobel, for instance, if you ever listen to that guy. I was watching the video yesterday of the white Dallas cop who shot this black guy in Dallas. And I didn't follow the whole story. It was pretty bad. And the murdered guy's brother is on the stand. I just forgave. It's just a tearjerker of his forgiveness. Where he said, just follow Christ, all is forgiven. And then he asked the judge if he could give her a hug. And not a dry eye was found. That's God right there, man. That guy's not God, but that's how God works. The love of for your fellow man overcomes all obstacles. So don't sit there and see some long-haired guy playing a guitar with, doom kind of music thinking, oh, those guys are evil. That's what they say about Black Sabbath. And Tony Iommi, who wrote some of the most incredibly religious songs ever, it kind of goes back to, it was a song about you got to cut your hair before you can get to church. I forgot what it was. Some band in the 80s did a remake of that. Signs everywhere, signs, you know what I'm talking about? That was back in the day when the hippies were Christian, which I loved. I just love that hippie Christian stuff. I think it's fantastic. Where God accepts all comers. Every single one is welcome in God's kingdom. Every single one. Long hair, short hair, white, black, Jewish, atheist, it doesn't matter. Don't be judgmental. And I don't think most of us are, to be perfectly honest with you. And am I being judgmental by telling you not to be judgmental? Well, probably. I'm actually saying just open it up. Even if a guy is singing about, like Slayer, they don't like religion of any kind, and they made a name from being anti-Christian. That was what the cool kids did back in the 80s. Now it's boring. That's just boring now because everyone does it. I mean, wow, you're anti-Christian, woo. But even those guys, Dave, I don't know who's still on, Tommy Arroyo, Dave Lombardo, Kerry King, and I don't know the other guy, Jeff something. I have no idea who's still in the band Slayer. They're a pretty anti-Christian band. Probably still are. Does that mean God can't find him? Ooh, you of little faith. Who is more anti-Christian, Tom Arroyo or Saul of Tarsus? Huh? Yeah, I think that the question answers itself. Don't forget, Saul of Tarsus, when Stephen was being stoned to death by the Pharisees for not falling in line, they gave their jackets to somebody to hold while they killed Stephen. You know who that someone was? It was Saul. He held their jackets. And then as he aged, he wanted to go on the same rampage and track down the people who followed the way into Damascus. Now, whether or not he was actually going to murder these people, imprison them, torture them, we don't know. Because on the way to Damascus, Saul had his blinding vision of light. And Jesus says, because don't forget, Jesus said to Stephen said, I see you, Lord. As he was even getting executed by rocks. Yeah, a little bit different than getting shot in the head. This is execution by rocks. Jesus said, Lord, I see you. All the while getting killed. Saul saw that. Saul ages, goes down to Damascus. On his way to Damascus, he is literally blinded by the light. And he says, Jesus says, Saul, Saul, why do you forsake me? And he gets directions on where to go. So he goes to Damascus. He comes across, I forgot the guy's name. And the guy's scared crapless because he's like, this is the guy who's looking to kill us. He's in my house, and he's scared. And by this time, Paul says, no, I've changed, man. I've changed. And just going back to me, he had a fork in the road. Dropped the $10 in the gift basket to redeem yourself, or assume that you know what's better for you. So the guy who took in Paul said, all right, I believe you. And he's still scared, and the rest is history. Here we are today, 2,000 years later, talking about it. Some hillbilly from the hills of Nazareth comes down, changes the world, without swords, without conquest, just with love. It's pretty crazy. All right, we'll see you.